Board of County Commissioners has accepted the challenge to take over the management of the juvenile detention home. At the July 15th meeting with the OJA, several individuals were identified who could possibly assist with day-to-day management and improvements needed at the juvenile detention home. David Parker was one of those individuals identified. Parker was previously the jail administrator at David L. Moss for more than 4 years and has more than 30 years of experience in the detention field. David Parker has expressed an interest in assisting Tulsa County with the management of the juvenile detention home. The management changes will go into effect immediately following the BOCC approval, and to ensure there's no disruption to the level of care provided detainees housed at the juvenile detention home, the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office is assisting by providing supplemental detention staffing as needed. A thorough review of staffing and resources is ongoing. That is my statement. The commissioners will be available for comments as well as David Parker is available at this meeting. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
And I think, Mr. Parker, if you all would like, he could come forward and you all could interview him at the same time if you would like to do that immediately following. Then we'll also be around for additional interviews if anybody wants them.
Will you sit and just take questions instead of just doing media interviews?
That's not on the agenda. So I would make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Gantz?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Sallee?
Yes. Thank you all for coming.
Mr. Parker?
Good morning.
Good morning.
David Parker. As so kindly said by Commissioner Sallee, I'm a 36-year veteran. I'm a 36-year veteran of the detention field. Again, my name is David Parker. I'm a resident of Tulsa County and have been since 17. You know, Tulsa County is my home now, and I'm certainly glad to be here. You know, I have to thank the Sheriff's Office for Vic Rogelado for bringing me here, and I spent some time working for him, and Tulsa's become my forever home, and I'm grateful for that. And when I saw the opportunity to step back into the field, I knew it was my civic duty to come in and see what I could do to help my home.
What's the first order of business?
The first order of business is, you know, a couple of days ago, I was not doing anything but consulting, and so I need to get caught up on the things that have been happening in the facility and some of the reasons that brought us here and how we're going to be able to try to turn that ship around.
Do you have any action steps for improvement at this time?
Well, of course, there's always action steps. The first thing I've got to do is try to figure out, you know, what's going on and outside of what I've heard as a citizen. At that point in time, I'm sure we'll start looking at policies and procedures and programming. You know, programming is very important, and I think programming is a great part of any security. When you have people that have meaningful things to do during the daytime and educational opportunities, I think that only improves your life. So we'll certainly look at lots of programming. We're going to look at the policies and procedures and see what those policies and procedures look like, and if those policies and procedures need updated, if they need to have measurabilities put in place, because I believe systems are very important. You can set all the goals and objectives you want, but if you don't have systems in place to back those goals and objectives up that are measurable, then I don't think that you'll be doing a very good job. And so those are the things I plan on to start with.
Mr. Parker, can you?
Current staff to do that?
Well, I don't know at this point in time. I need to look at all of the recommendations and see what the recommendations are. I'm sure that once I get in there and review some of those things, that we'll have to sit down and look at it with the commissioners and make some decisions.
Mr. Parker, what is?
Allegations that have come out Juvenile Justice Center and the arrest, and I guess just talk about your familiarity with everything right now.
Well, you know, as
I
a
would
36.
like to just suggest, I'm Doug Wilson, ADA, and represent the county. Did any questions about litigation be directed to Keith Wilkes? He's the counsel for the county in this matter and can answer litigation-related questions.
Mr. Parker, can you walk us through your experience working with justice-involved youth as an administrator?
Sure. You know, I spent a lot of years with the Department of Corrections and had direct involvement with the Regimented Inmate Discipline Program. I ran the mental health facilities. When I went to work in '86, one of the things that struck me that was really troublesome is that one of the first offenders I met was a 16-year-old from Tulsa County who had stolen a vehicle and wrecked it, and I wasn't really sure at that point in time why that young man was in prison. Once I learned, I could tell you that it was probably a good idea, but when you start throwing juveniles in the same realm as you do adults, most juveniles aren't fully developed. They're still very influential, and so I think working with them is a whole different perspective. I also had juveniles in the jail when I was over the jail, so it wouldn't be my first time working with juvenile offenders.
But in a juvenile facility, because we talked about prison, the jail, have you had any experience in a juvenile detention center? Because as you said, it's
I
a
have
very
lot of
different thing.
experience with detention facilities, and what I can tell you is that management is probably what this place needs more than my experience working directly with juveniles, because I've already, and in 2 days, tried to digest all of the state statutes. I come from the detention tree of Justin Jones. I worked directly for Justin Jones. He was my director with DOC. He transitioned very well because a lot of the practices with programming will easily transition. There's a lot of things I'll need to learn. That's why we have some great partners lined up to provide some assistance. I think a Citizens Advisory Board is right on key, so we can bring some of the perspectives of the citizens of Tulsa County to help us move on with that operation.
Mr. Parker, Laura Howard, Tulsa County Chief Public Defender. Are you prepared to fire staff who are not performing their responsibilities?
Well, I'm telling you, as a manager, you're always prepared to fire people that aren't doing their job. That's just part of being the manager. It's one of the tough things you do. But if people aren't doing their jobs, there's several avenues to take. You know, and I don't know anything about what's went on up to this time, but unfortunately in my careers, I've had to dismiss many people for not doing it.
Are you prepared to effectively clean house if that's what it takes to make improvements?
I'm ready to manage facilities, and if that means I have to come in and work it by myself, that's what I'll do. But I don't necessarily believe that everybody that works there would be needing to be fired. Again, the same way with every building. Your office, for example, probably has some people that don't perform as well as others. Maybe they're not in the right positions.
Well, I'll be clear. My office doesn't have any employee who's abused a child. So my concern is, I understand that you are coming into this brand new, but we have detention officers as recently as last Thursday providing drugs to children. There is a cultural problem where children are being sexually, physically abused. They're being denied access to food. They're being denied access to medical care. The magnitude of the issue, in my opinion, is gonna call for a giant change. I mean, we are not talking about minuscule issues, and we are not talking about one or two bad
What
apples.
I can tell you is that your former partner, Corbin, and I had a great relationship.
Absolutely.
And we worked well together, and I did everything possible to, especially during COVID, and you know, it was wonderful to work with, and I look forward to working with you in that same aspect. I have no preconceived notions going in, and I will tell you there'll be zero tolerance for anybody that breaks the law, period. Doesn't matter what it is. And I will deal with that very swiftly.
That's what I'm hoping to see, because I just wanna take this opportunity to impress upon you the magnitude of the problems here. We are talking about more than 2 years of history of physical abuse, sexual abuse, denial of basic human rights, and
Here's one of the great things, is that, you know, the state of Oklahoma pays me handsomely not to come to work. I'm doing this because I believe as a citizen of Tulsa County, it's the right thing to do. And so I am going in to do the right thing for the right reasons. And I hope you and your staff keep me in check on that.
well, I believe that me and my staff, Kelly Feldake, who is the juvenile division chief, and myself, we both will be more than happy to sit down with you and discuss any concerns that we have, make any recommendations that you would be open to. But I just wanna take this opportunity to impress upon you what you're walking into, and that, in my opinion, in my experience, this is a deep-seated problem that's gonna take some serious corrective action.
As a citizen, just a few minutes ago of Tulsa County, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could help.
Thank you.
Is there any employment terms you can share?
Employment terms? Sure. This job, right now, as you heard the commissioners, is being taken over by the county. I hope in the near future, because the model that's being used at many facilities has worked. And so I hope to go in and be able to assess this and turn the ship a little bit. And again, I have to tell you that going in blind, I'm not really sure of everything. And anytime you change a ship's direction, it's a slow turn. So we're gonna go in and try to do some of those things real quick and get some wins real quick for us. I'm gonna be transparent. There's no reason for me not to be. Like I say, this is a job I don't have to have. This is a job that I want right now because I want to be able to help my community. So in the near future, I hope we're able to reevaluate it and take a lot of this back off the county and put it back onto Juvenile Bureau. So I think the plan is go in and get started, get things and transition them eventually back. And I think that's what the commissioners want as well.
Is there any timeline?
Well, I'll be starting as soon as this interview's over, so you gotta have a place to start.
But there's not check marks that you're going to be.
We'll have to develop that list.
You say going in blind, are you aware of any issues?
Just what I heard from your broadcast. I've not been an employee, so I'm not privileged to that stuff at this point in time.
Did anyone brief you on anything beyond what's in news reports before this?
No, and it would be, I've spent a lot of time as an internal affairs guy for DOC as well, and I'm sure there's some great reports out there that are prepared by the sheriff's office and whoever else was involved, and I will try to lay my hands on those as soon as I can.
When did you first begin having conversations with the county commissioner's office about taking on this position in the interest of transparency?
A couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Have you read the Appleseed report?
Nope.
Do you intend to?
I plan on reading everything I can get my hands on.
Okay.
Mr. Parker, do you intend to bring an adult detention view and plan to juvenile facility, or do you have plans to educate yourself on the differences between those two systems?
Well, once I started this conversation, I've burned up a printer printing off statute requirements and OJA stuff, and have went to reading it. It interfered with my fishing. I was fishing a few days ago, and decided that if I was going to get involved with this, that I really needed to start educating myself even more. The detention field, I'm very familiar with. I'm somewhat familiar with the operations of juvenile, but you have to learn something every day. After 36 years, in the detention field, I learn something every day. Not only do things change, because this is an ever-evolving industry, there's always opportunity. And I encourage you, one of the things I did during my retirement was I started writing publications. I wrote an article for the Tulsa County Bar Journal, know, that's accessible online, and that whole content of that was about people that are in detention areas are gonna be your neighbors someday. And that we need to provide that type of programming and the things to make those people successful once they get out. So, you know, that's one of several, but that one's easy for you to get a hold of. And that kind of gives you a little philosophy on what I believe about handling people that are incarcerated.
From your
We have time
pers-
for one more media question, and Mr. Parker has to get to work, so please, one more.
from
media
your perspective,
media question,
what are the
please.
key differences in administrating an adult facility versus administrating a youth detention center?
Well, first of all, age, as you well know, plays the majority of the differences. But other than that, I think the juvenile, lots of programming. Most of the people that are probably, in my experience, that have been detained probably have some lack of development in other areas, whether that's education or it's actually, you know, just life skills. I think the more we can implement programming, provide aftercare, I think aftercare is a great component, that the more success rate you have.
Thank you all. Do you have any questions of the commissioners? They're back there.
Appreciate it.